Once again, welcome. Thank you for being here. Senior services. Let's talk about senior services for people in dire need of senior services. And you're looking at one right here. I'm in dire need always of senior services because I'm a senior and I have been for a long time. Grady Tarbutton is our guest from the Senior Center today. And let's just talk generally about what you've been here for, what'd you tell me, 4 years now?
Well, Bob, I've been here for 4 years, almost exactly. Moved here from the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, there's been a lot, like we were talking earlier, there's been a lot of changes.
Came when there was kind of a downturn in finances at all governmental levels, right? County and city and the state.
And our biggest, and our biggest concern, of course, is the seniors themselves. There's been a lot of changes since then. One that happened this last legislative session was they eliminated the property tax rebate for seniors. Mm-hmm. And I had one gentleman come up to me and say, you know, Grady, I'd leave town if I could afford the gas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So I guess the most difficult thing for seniors is that they're on a fixed income. Bob, you know this.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, what you see is what you get. And so when you're doing your financial planning, you're trying to find all the resources you can in the community to help you stay in your home, stay in your apartment as long as possible. And when you take some of these little pieces away, like the property tax rebate, recently the energy assistance program had some reductions because some issues with funding for them as well. Those all impact our lowest income folks. And what a lot of people don't realize, you know, the fixed income is one, and I'd encourage our listeners to take a look at their own income. If that was a fixed income, if it wasn't ever going to change, except maybe with a small cost of living increase every year, which happened in Social Security for the first time now in 3 years, and that was what they had to look forward to. You know, how would they adjust? And that's what our seniors have to adjust to every day.
Requests for senior services are greater than they've ever been. More people wanting your services now in this area.
We have more people wanting our services and fewer people to help them. To be quite honest, we have, like I said earlier, 43 people were working with Washoe County Senior Services when I began working there 4 years ago, and we've lost 15 and a half positions. We are the place that people come to. Washoe County Senior Services is the place that people start. And they come in our front door, or they call us on the telephone.
You're over on 9th Street.
We're over on 9th Street. We get them the resources that we have. But it is the bottleneck's getting a little bit tighter in terms of our ability to just get people through the system.
Things that I know it's great, like your lunches every day for seniors?
Absolutely. We have 8 locations that people can go to. The Reno site is the largest one, but one at Neal Road, as you know, the city sponsors that. The city of Sparks, the Sparks Senior Center, Sun Valley Community Center, and we have the Gerlach Senior Center up in Gerlach. And then we have 4 other locations in some housing complexes around town.
How has the Gerlach Senior Center been impacted, or maybe I should say de-impacted, when the gypsum mine closed up there? Has it been, has it lessened things?
For us, we have a great partnership with the seniors in the community. They do fundraising to help keep the center open. A couple of years ago, we were going to just deliver frozen meals, but because the community stepped forward, we were able to keep the cook there and make sure that they're served hot meals every day. So it's been a huge challenge for them. We're doing what we can to help them. We have a van that comes in once every other week into Reno to help them get to doctor's appointments and do shopping, that sort of things. But they're still active. The seniors are still there. They still need the assistance.
You know, recreational pursuits, we've talked about some of the help that you're giving the seniors on a daily basis, but I know recreational pursuits have always been great at the Senior Center, and I'm thinking primarily, and I've had the pleasure of being over there a couple of times, your Friday night dances, and that's been a great program. That's still going on and going strong, isn't it?
We really depend upon volunteers who run programs like that. Our staff just makes sure people can get into the building, that we have security, but it's all volunteer operated. All those classes and activities City of Reno, actually, their Parks and Recreation Department sponsors a couple of events at the Reno Senior Center in addition to Neal Road. So we have some great partnerships that keep those sorts of things going. If it was not for the effort of the volunteers and the contribution of the volunteers, those programs would not continue. But it's very heavily attended.
Yeah, you get some federal funding for like your meals program and that type of thing.
We get federal funding for Daybreak Adult Day Health, which is an alternative to nursing home care. For the Senior Law Project, which helps people with all various aspects of the law, including appeals about Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid.
And attorneys actually come into the center?
We have attorneys that are county employees that are in the center, yes. We've lost 2 over the past 2 years, and we'll, here January 1st, we'll be down to 1 attorney, but we have, the doors are still open, we're still helping people as best we can. We have a social services department which helps people with long-term care issues like in-home care, home-delivered meals, representative payee for people that are the most vulnerable. We do a lot with those folks.
Grady, we've heard for so many years, and I know you have more certainly than I have, but you hear this line that seniors are choosing between their medication or paying their electric bill or something. Is that true? I mean, is that really happening in this community?
Yes, it's true. Absolutely. 50% of all seniors over the age of 65 make less than $20,000 a year in their pension, their benefits, their Social Security, their veterans benefits. A great many of them still rent. Only 60% of seniors own their homes, so there's about 40% of people that are still renting. So they still have that housing cost. And so it's a big challenge for folks as we're looking at moving forward, because the baby boomers are here. Today we have 75,000 people over 60 in Washoe County. In 20 years we're going to have over 100,000. So it is the one, I guess, growth area, and I think Reno is still attractive for people to retire. People come here for a lot of the activities that exist. The university has classes, and City of Reno has activities. There's a lot of things going on for people that make Reno a very attractive place to come. But as they grow older and they deal with that fixed income issue, then they often are coming to us to ask for help about service.
And you know, I heard recently a very high-profile real estate man in this community talk about that very thing, not a problem, but yeah, it is a problem. It's going to be a problem for you, of people moving from California that are now retiring here full-time. They like the state, they're coming over, and like you said, what, 100,000 people within 10 years or something like that?
Yeah, within 20 years.
What's your take on the talk going on in Congress right now about cutting the entitlement programs? And there's this super committee, and that's one of the things I guess they're really looking at and talking about. And of course, that would have to impact seniors.
It will. The entitlement program cuts will have, and that's primarily Medicare and Medicaid and veterans benefits.
Social Security.
Social Security. Those programs are at risk of being reduced significantly. But there's also the programs like our programs that are funded by federal funds, that if we're faced with a 50% cut, 2 years ago, 2009, 2010, we served the most number of people we've ever served, which is 5,500 people in 1 year. This last year, that dropped 400, down to about 5,100. And we're expecting additional drops this year. If we see those cuts in domestic spending, we'll see more drops in those services, because that's where the money comes from. But people having to choose between their energy, paying their utility bill, paying for their medications, it will become more common as these cuts happen.
One of the things that we talked about with another gentleman just recently on one of our programs here was talking about some of the entitlements that have actually already been cut in this area. And when I say entitlements, I guess I'm also relating that down to the fact that you've lost people. You don't have the employees that you had. You said you've lost how many people in the last 5 years?
15 and a half positions, yes. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of changes. Right.
Now you're funded by the county mainly? Is that your main source of funding?
Main source of funding are is the federal funds. The Older Americans Act. We actually have some Medicaid funds and Veterans Benefits funds. We can be impacted by all those cuts.
Somebody comes into your senior center on a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock and says, "Hey, I'm destitute, I'm homeless, I do not have any place to sleep tonight." Do you help them with finding a place to sleep tonight?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of our social workers will work with them in trying to get a place to stay. If it's the shelter, I mean, we make sure that they get to the shelter, but we follow up with them also to make sure that they can get permanent housing, get whatever changes. Often they need to change their mailing address, those sorts of things. We deal with those things commonly.
You always hear that getting this first month's rent is a problem for particularly the homeless, and I would imagine seniors who have to leave where they've been living and trying to get that, you know, $900 up front or whatever it is. Do you have any sources for helping that problem?
We do. We can assist with that. Their state funds, the Low Income Housing Trust Fund, assists with that. We help quite a few people every year. But one of the biggest issues we have is not just the folks that are homeless today, it's the folks who are living alone, are ill, are disabled, that need assistance and they don't have family. And those are a lot of the folks that come to us and the services that we help them with, whether it be Medicare or Medicaid, home delivered meals. You know, that's why people come to us. They've been coming to Washoe County Senior Services for 25 years. We're recognized in the community with a place that people come to, that we are still going to be the place for people to come to when they seek assistance. But we really have a huge challenge going forward with those folks that are living in their homes today and they need that help.
Might there be people who are watching this broadcast right now as we're talking that are just too embarrassed to come in and say, "Hey, I need some help"? Have you found that in the past?
That's very common. People wait until the last minute to ask for assistance. And we try to encourage them, and we try to encourage families. Family members often know what's going on with their relatives, and that they can call us and help us get involved as early as possible. We started a new program with the Reno Fire Department called Gatekeeper, which the firemen, when they go out on calls, now if they have a senior that has mainly social issues, maybe they don't really have a medical issue. We've had folks that call in because they fall and they need someone to pick them up, and the only person they have is call 911. So now those calls are coming to us to follow up on. We're looking for those folks that aren't asking for help. We're asking families to pay attention and to refer as early as possible, because it's a lot easier to set up things when it's not a crisis.
So if you have a question or you need a solution, an answer, or you need to talk to an attorney, they still have one. Grady told me they have one on staff over there at the Senior Center. They're on 9th Street in the Washoe County complex. Grady, thank you very much.
Bob, nice seeing you again.
Our guest, I do appreciate it. I was telling my wife, if something happens to us, God forbid, our kids will take care of it. She said, no, she said our kids will take care of us. And I said, no, they won't. But I know Grady down there, and I'm a personal friend, and we're covered. Don't worry about it.
You can count on me, Bob.
Grady, thank you for being our guest. We appreciate it. And thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.